Welcome back to Lesson 1. This is the beginning of Part 2. You should have already watched Part 1. We're now ready to practice visualizing. Pause the video and read the passage on the left. Then be ready to answer the questions on the right. The first question says, what do you picture? What images come to mind? You probably came up with something that you'd seen before. Maybe you've seen a dog and its master play fetch before, and the dog was a little bit hesitant to give the ball back. That's what I picture when I picture George and Lenny in this situation. The second question says, reread the underlined simile. Why is Lenny compared to a terrier? What does this tell the reader about Lenny and George's relationship? The underlined sentence says, slowly, like a terrier who doesn't want it to bring a ball to its master, Lenny approached, drew back, approached again. You probably came up with something about how you can tell that George is the leader in the relationship. George like a master and Lenny like a dog, and the way that they interact. When we visualize this, it gives us some more information, and we can see that George is in charge. The second reading strategy that we will focus on today is making connections. Remember, good readers make connections and use background knowledge. There are three kinds of connections. Text-to-self connections are connections when readers connect to their own experiences and memories. Text-to-world connections are connections when readers connect to facts, information about history, current events, and to the world. Text-to-text connections are connections when the reader connects to other stories, songs, TV shows, and movies. There are many reasons to make connections. Making connections helps readers to visualize, just like we talked about before. It also helps readers listen to others to see how they are connecting to the text, thus enriching everyone's understanding of the material. Making connections also helps readers relate to characters by understanding their feelings and motivations. And it can also help readers use the information taught in one class and then transfer it to another class. There are many things you can do when making connections. You could create a Venn diagram to show how subjects' areas overlap and how they differ, or to bridge information between textbook chapters or linked novels. You could also jot down what you know about a topic of study before you begin. You could share connections you make while reading. This is one of my favorite activities. I love to hear what other people thought about while they were reading and to tell them about the connections I have made. Also, notice the similarities between subjects you study. So if you're learning about World War II in history class and reading about World War II in English class, you can notice those similarities and think about the connections. These are some example connecting statements. You may want to pause the video and take a second to read through them and record them for later use. Now it's time to look at some examples for making connections. In the left column, there is a sentence from Of Mice and Men. The sentence reads, over each bunk there was nailed an apple box with the opening forward so that it made two shelves for the personal belongings of the occupant of the bunk. In the center column is my connection. I said, this reminds me of my dorm and sorority rooms in college. My roommate and I would always rig up little shelves to hold what we needed in bed, like our alarm, phone, chapstick, etc. We had many more items than these men did, and we needed and had many more shelves. In the last column, you'll see that I identified the type of connection that I made. In this case, I was connecting to my own personal experiences, so it was a text-to-self connection. At this time, you'll want to end this video and watch Lesson 1, Part 3 to continue.